YouTube, what's going on? It's Juangottiwft here with another Washington Commanders video, and in today's video, I'm coming on here with a video where we're going to be talking about what positional group for the Washington Commanders has the most approved headed into the 2022 NFL season. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. But before we do, make sure you go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, and turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload a video about the NFL, or in this case, our Washington Commanders. We're now on the road to 5,000 subscribers, so hit that subscribe button again if you haven't already. Let's get straight into today's video. So, what positional group for the Washington Commanders has the most approved headed into this season? For me, there's not just one positional group for the Washington Commanders. There's multiple positional groups for our team that I believe needs to perform well if we want to have a successful 2021 season. So, 2022 season, rather. So, to kick off this list in no particular order, I'm going to say the defensive line has a lot to prove for this team to be successful, man. When you look at our defensive line, they're supposed to be the heartbeat of this team. They're supposed to be the team that the positional group that leads us to victory. Like, this team last year was supposed to rely heavily on this defense and was supposed to just ask for Ryan Fitzpatrick to just not mess up. Like, perfect example. The defense was supposed to be, I don't know, let's just say Clayton Kershaw in his prime or something, right? Let's just say Clayton Kershaw in his prime. Clayton Kershaw goes out there and pitches a no-hitter through 6 or 7, and all they need is just one run, and they win the game. That's literally what this defense was supposed to be last year. This defense was supposed to be prime Clayton Kershaw, and Ryan Fitzpatrick was supposed to be just score a couple touchdowns and we'll take care of the rest. And it didn't go like that, as we know. Chase Young got hurt week 10 versus the Bucks. Up until that point, he was having a terrible season. He only had 1.5 sacks on the season, so it wasn't a good season for Chase Young. Montez Sweat, we know he had some personal issues going on, along with having a jaw injury. But it was unfortunate because they didn't meet the standard that we set for these guys coming into the 2021 season. I mean, coming off that 2020 campaign with Chase Young won Defensive Rookie of the Year, and then Montez Sweat had a solid season too, we thought these guys were going to take over the league. And I love these guys, and this is my favorite team. But from the outside looking in, I personally feel like they let the talking heads get to them. They let them hype their head up too much. I mean, go back to last year's offseason around this time. You had them talking about how Chase Young and Montez Sweat is probably going to be the best edge rushing duo in the NFL, how Washington's going to have a top 5, top 3 defense. And no, I'm not saying the talking heads are wrong, because that's probably how it looked on paper. I feel like they let them get to their head. I mean, you go to training camp, you hear them talking with the media members about how they're going to set the duo sack record and stuff like that. Again, you just had Chase Young doing commercials, and it just didn't seem they were too locked in. They let the talking heads they let the hype get to their head, man. That's just how it seemed from the outside looking in. And this year they seem much more locked in. Chase Young's at OTAs. Again, that doesn't make a big difference for me if he's there or not, because one, he tore his ACL, it's not like he can practice, and two, it's off-season team activities that is voluntary, so it didn't make a big deal to me, but he was there, that's good. I feel like they're more locked in heading into this season. Deron Payne going to be playing for a new contract, whether it's here or another team, so I feel like he is going to have a really good season, and we know Jonathan Allen, the leader of this defense, the leader of this defensive line, is going to do what he do. I don't have no doubt in my mind that Jonathan Allen is going to be really good. I mean, he already got paid, and he put up a season like he did last year. John Allen, he's going to be fine. So my biggest concern with this D-line is, one, Chase Young and Montez Sweat. How are they going to perform coming off of the season that they had last year, and knowing coming into this season that they're going to have a lot of pressure to perform, like especially Chase Young. Like Montez Sweat, we know he can perform. Like, we seen Montez Sweat do really good. Chase Young, number 2 overall pick, and you put up a season like last year, you're going to have a lot to perform. You're going to have a lot of pressure to perform. Fans aren't easy. They're not going to be easy with Chase Young. So, and he knows that. So, I have faith in these guys, and I think they're going to be really good. The second concern that I have is this depth now. There's no longer no Tim Settle to back up Deron Payne or John Allen. There's no longer no Matt Ioannidis to back up Deron Payne or Jonathan Allen. You know, and what are we going to do at that position? We drafted Phidarian Mathis in the second round, but what else? You know, you're going to have Daniel Wise play inside. And then you go to the edge rushing depth. Yes, we got better at the edge rushing depth, but how comfortable are you with F.A. Obata? How comfortable are you with Shaka Tony and James Smith-Williams and all these guys? William Bradley King, are you comfortable with these guys? Me personally, I want to see more out of Shaka Tony. I'm definitely a little comfortable with F.A. Obata just because I've seen him play really solid at times for the Panthers. So I'm more comfortable with the edge rushing depth than I was earlier in the offseason. But would I still address some needs on this D line? Yes, I definitely still would address the defensive end position if we could find better. Why not? Like I said, go to this training camp. When we start to cut down a roster and players are starting to get cut from other teams, look at the other teams' players and see who they cut. They could be a veteran edge rusher that can come in here and help us back up Chase Young and Montez Sweat. Again, but if we decide to roll with F.A. Obata, Shaka Tony, all those, I'm fine with that. Just make sure that's the right decision. Then, you go back to inside. Are you going to address – I think they should address the defensive tackle depth. I think they should go sign another veteran guy. But are you fine with Daniel Wise and Phidarian Mathis that you feel – or actually, Phidarian, he's going to be playing a lot this upcoming season. So maybe you bring in 2 D linemen. You know, maybe you bring in a couple more bodies to rotate in and out of the lineup, considering the fact that you're going to be relying heavily on Phidarian. So, again, the D-line is the first position group that I think needs to perform well in order for this season to be a success. Number 2, quarterback. Quarterback is the second position group that I needs to perform well. More importantly, quarterback 1, Carson Wentz. This is his last rodeo of being called the unquestioned starter. And I feel like he's locked in. I feel like he knows that, and I feel like he's comfortable. You can see it in his interviews. You can see it in his way he practices. I feel like Carson Wentz is comfortable here. I'm not going to lie. And that's not the fan in me. That's just me being really honest. He just looks comfortable. He looks relaxed. He doesn't look like he's putting too much pressure on himself. And again, it's OTAs. There's not a real defense rushing at him that's trying to really hurt him or sack him or anything. So maybe it is OTAs, but I get that sense that he's locked in and he's ready to rock and roll. And I'm all behind Carson Wentz. Now you look at Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke is probably the best backup in all of football. He's probably the best backup in all of football. If not the best, he's top 3 for sure. Taylor Heineke can come in and win you some games, but he definitely isn't a long-term starter, but he is a guy that's going to be employed by the NFL for a long time because they know he can be, at worst, a backup. You know, then you look at Sam Howell, the rookie guy developing. He is a what you call it? He is a guy that is a contingency plan or a backup plan in case Carson Wentz flames out. You have the rook, that you're developing behind these 2 guys. And that now brings to the next question. Do we have one of the best 3 quarterbacks situation as a whole positional group in the NFL? Obviously, Taylor Heineke isn't amongst the best when it comes to overall quarterbacks, but I'm talking about positional groups. Quarterback-wise, do we have, is there a better 3 than our 3? And that's even going back to when we had, Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke, and I want to say, was it Ryan Fitzpatrick last year? Or was it when we had Alex Smith the year before that? I was saying that. One of these 2 years, I was saying we even had pretty good 3 quarterbacks to roll with too. So quarterback positional group really isn't the issue here. Isn't my thing where I'm saying they need to perform well. It's more so the starter with Carson Wentz. But again, I'm getting the sense that he's locked in. I'm getting the sense that he's focused. I'm getting the sense that he's ready to redeem himself. Again, he didn't have a terrible year in 2021, but it definitely wasn't a year that we know Carson Wentz can play his best at. I mean, honestly, he played well to go to the playoffs, but he flamed out last game versus the Jags, just like the rest of his teammates. So again, he ain't played terrible, but we know he can be much better. And then finally, last positional group that I think needs to play better for this team to be successful in 2022, the linebacking core. The linebackers must play better. I mean, it goes from Steve Rush. You guys know how I just don't like Steve Rush and Sam Mills, not as a people, but as coaches. I just don't think they get the best out of their specific players. Steve Rush, I don't think, is a good linebackers coach. I'm not saying that he can't get the potential out of Jamin Davis, but I just don't see how you coach a guy for all season long and he just doesn't make any changes or any improvements. Like, yes, Jamin Davis, he did make some plays later in the season, but that was purely him. That wasn't because of what Steve Russ has done. I want to see Steve Russ be better. I want to see him, actually show these guys what to do, show these guys how to do it, critique these guys. Same with Sam Mills. Sam Mills showing Ryan Kerrigan film. You have two athletic freaks. Why are you showing them Ryan Kerrigan film? So I just need the overall collective unit from the players to the coaches with D-line and linebackers. Steve Russ for linebackers and D-line with Sam Mills to just be better as a collective unit. I just don't think Steve Russ is getting the full potential out of Jamin Davis. I know it's only 1 year, but I want to see improvements throughout the year. And quite frankly, besides that last Giants game, I really didn't see improvements from Jamin Davis. And granted, too, he really didn't play that much that you would expect a guy like him to play. I understand he was developing, but, he's a work in progress. But when you have David Mayo getting more burn than you at times, bro, that's ridiculous. Cole Holcomb's going to be Cole. I think he is going to be a really good Mike linebacker. So I don't have really too many concerns about him. Then after that, I think we need to bring in a veteran linebacker. I think we need to do something because you can't just roll into the season with David Mayo, Jamin Davis, and Cole Holcomb. You got to bring in somebody. You're going to bring up Milo Eifel? I'm not comfortable with that. Go get a veteran guy like Dante Hightower, like K1 Alexander, one of those two guys. Just bring in somebody or wait till the end of training camp where guys start to get cut. We can wait till the end of preseason and just pick off somebody on their roster. We just need somebody that can play linebacker at an okay level. I just don't trust David Mayo to be out there. We seen that last year. So, again, these three things go right. These three positional groups play better. This team is going to have a better season. Point blank period. So, yeah, man, there you have it. Let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section down below. What position group for you needs to have a better season in order for this team to be successful in 2022? Leave your comments and thoughts down below in the comment section. As always, me, boy, Juangotti. Like, comment, subscribe, help us Washington Commanders. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button if you already have already. I'm out. Peace.